Hey guys, and welcome to or back to the Paws in Pursuit podcast with your host, Summer Clark. So today I'm going to bring you a completely unplanned, unprepared episode. As you can see, or I don't know if you can see actually from that angle, but I have no laptop, no notes in front of me. I just wanted to go through my day of judging with you completely sort of raw, or however you'd like to say it. Without planning, just a complete run through of my day from what I can remember. And I'm hoping that it'll be helpful for those of you who are coming up to their first judging appointment. So as you know, Dog Sports Derby was my first judging appointment. Overall, it went really good, but I just want to run you through how my first judging appointment went from start to finish. I'm even going to include like the night before, morning after, all the feels. Anyway, just a quick live update first. I just had Nottingham at the weekend. So probably loads of you listeners there because it was YKC qualifiers, wasn't it? You probably saw me sat there on my laptop doing work, being boring. But anyway, we had Nottingham on Saturday. Arrow had his final win to grade 7. Oh my God, I'm so proud of him. He has been so good this weekend. You've probably seen on my Instagram, but all of his runs were phenomenal. So he had 2 jumping runs on Saturday. First jumping run had 2 poles, but fastest time. Second jumping run had 1 pole, but the fastest time. And then our third and final run of the day, the agility, he won and went to grade 7. I'm so excited. I can't wait to run champ with him. It's going to be amazing. And then on the Sunday was the qualifiers, and we won the jumping cup for YKC. So we are off to Crufts 2024, which is insane. I didn't think it was possible to achieve 2 major goals in one weekend, but we did it. And then he also came 8th out of like 80 odd in the Crufts singles agility, which was combined 6-7, our first ever singles. So he got some points for Crufts singles, and now I need to sort myself out and look at all the other shows that have Crufts singles to make sure that I'm entering them so we can see where we end up on the leaderboard. Like I said, I think I'm too late for a few of them already now, as a lot of shows have closed already, but even for next year, definitely something I'm going to go for. And that was Nottingham, and then he won another agility on the Sunday night. That was it. So we had 3 wins and an 8th, 2 agility wins, 1 jumping cup qualifier win, and then obviously the 8th. So yeah, super proud of him. He's now grade 7 and off to Crufts. Just thought I'd, shout that from the rooftops. Another little life update is that I start college on Friday. I'm starting a level 2 dog grooming qualification at my nearby college. I'm not going to tell you where or what that is because, people on the internet can be weird. Don't know if I've got any stalkers. But anyway, yeah, so that is exciting. It is every Friday for 30 weeks. And then the level 3 is 50 weeks after that. So it's a total of 80 weeks, so like a year and a half, quite a while. But after I've done that, I'm going to go for being a mobile dog groomer. So I'm gonna get myself a van, Paws in Pursuit dog grooming. So that is very exciting, and I will do a podcast episode on that in the future and how that's going. But yeah, those are some little life updates. Thought I'd do that at the start of the podcast. Just to really update you guys on what's occurring, really. So, without further ado, now I've told you all the things you probably already knew or didn't care about anyway, let's get into the episode. So, my first judging appointment at Dog Sports Derby, it was on a Monday. So, very strange day to have a show, really. Obviously, Dog Sports Derby does weekday shows, which is unusual. But I think that's why everyone loves them, because it's a bit different, and obviously my job is so flexible that I can book them off, so it's absolutely perfect and does not faze me in the slightest. So I was judging on the Monday. So obviously leading up to the event, I had my courses that I designed, and then also Neil Ellis was there to support me through that. So huge thank you and shout out to Neil for doing that. It was invaluable. Neil is amazing at knowing dogs' lines, grade suitability, stuff like that. So I sent my courses to Neil. He gave me feedback. I tweaked them according to his feedback, and then we just kept kind of doing that until they were perfect. So I had 2 jumping and 1 agility, all heights 1 to 3. So the first thing I needed to think about once I had my courses ready was the time to get there in the morning, because obviously a lot of people set their courses up the night before the show to save themselves time and give themselves a bit more of a lie-in. But I couldn't stay over that night. so I wasn't going to travel an hour and a half to set a course up and travel back the evening before. So I just got home nice and early, and so the show started at 9, so as in like judging started at 9, and course walking was at like 8:30, I think. So I got there at 8, and that gave me a nice half an hour to set up my first course. Another thing you have to consider is obviously it was a Monday, so there was more traffic than say on a Saturday or Sunday. So I had to leave a little bit earlier than I would for say a weekend show or a normal show that I'm used to. So I got there at about, 8, set my jumping course up first, and let me tell you now, it is so true how hard it is to set a course up on the ground compared to on paper. It doesn't look the exact same. Obviously, Dog Sports Derby, a little bit of the area, the dimensions of the venue is sort of used for, what's it called? Like they put barriers there so you can come in and out the ring. So, the black barriers. So that was sort of, I kind of forgot about that when I was doing my courses and kind of pushed my courses a little bit too far left. So I think I took a jump out per course that was actually on my course map, which again wasn't a big issue because it was like, instead of jump tunnel, say it was just jump tunnel. So it really didn't make a difference, just cut it down slightly. So my first course was 1 to 3 jumping, all heights again. This course actually was probably my hardest course of the day. I did start to worry a little bit that it was too hard because I was getting quite a few faults and ease to start with, but there were some cracking clears, plenty of cracking clears. I'm happy with how it ran. I think looking back on that course, I probably would have made it slightly easier. Again, it's really hard to know, especially when you're thinking about designing 1 to 3, then 4 to 5, then 6 to 7. It is just a fine line between making it too hard or too easy that it's boring, because I've been on the other side of it where I've walked a course and thought either this is too easy and boring, and because having Ethel, if it was a really fast flowy course, then I was like, well, she's not got a chance. So I do always like to incorporate a bit of skills, even for the 1 to 3, just something. Oh, I'm so sorry, I just kicked the tripod, dear me, got an itchy foot. I hope you haven't all got seasick now. So I do like to incorporate a little bit of trickiness, even in 1 to 3, just something, so it's not like a steeplechase, basically, is all I'm saying. So I'm happy with how my first course ran, but the line at the end of the course was tunnel, jump, and it was sort of a curve to the right. So obviously, especially with the large dogs, people were struggling to get the blind in after that last tunnel to get on the right side, as it was a curve to the right. So obviously most people didn't get there in time for the blind and had to stay on the left of the dog. But then obviously, because it was a right to sort of a curve to the right, and there was also a tunnel that was used at the start of the course next to the finish jump on the left, a lot of dogs were bypassing the finish jump and either just running straight past it or going in that tunnel. So that was what caught most people out. So on reflection, I did think, I need to tweak that. So for my second jumping course, I did tweak that, and I made it a nice straight line, even a tiny curve to the left, just to make it a really achievable line for the dogs. There were still some crazy dogs that decided the tunnel was more exciting than the finish jump. But obviously, because it's a straight line to the finish, a lot of handlers, didn't quite get there in time or got behind, and the dog was like, oh, where are you gone? Obviously, 1 to 3 dogs, less experience, with independence, going off and doing things for themselves. But I did tweak that for the second jumping, and overall, I'm a lot happy with how the second jumping went than the first. And the whole course was basically just a little bit easier. Another thing that's worth mentioning is it does take a while to get into the flow of judging on your first appointment. So I was quite obviously the normal nerves when I started doing it on the first course. And then I got like a few dogs into it. I thought, yeah, I can do this. I sort of remembered everything, muscle memory takes over. And honestly, competing really helps. Like I spectate dogs all the time when I'm a competitor. And, not only watch other judges judging them, but also I know what say if I'm running Arrow, I know what he has fault-wise at the end of a run. Even, I don't see the judge go, or, all the hand signals, but I know the outcome just from what he did, because I've been competing for that long that I know what faults are given for each wrong behaviour on the course. So that really does help. It literally just feels like you're spectating a run, but you've got to, you just got to mark it. But even when you're spectating, you're not judging, you know what each wrong thing is. So you probably could just could just judge while you're spectating. So that's another thing. If you have a first judging appointment come up, practice. So just go to a show, spectate. You don't have to stand there and do all the hand signals if you don't want to, but just in your head, think about, what did that dog just do? What is that, in faults or whatever. And obviously you've got the agility regulations book, the judging rule book and stuff that I have, and I took that with me in case I needed it. Another thing that is vital is and this is on the Kennel Club website under agility judging, is the course time matrix. So that is a lifesaver. It means you don't have to do maths, which is great for me because I suck at maths and I hate doing it. So this is sort of a grid sort of thing, like a table, and it says, obviously you measure your course with your wheel. So yeah, just quickly, another thing, get yourself a good measuring wheel before your first appointment. You need one. You're buggered without it, basically. So I have a digital one. It's super easy to use and just tells you right there. And obviously, if you're coming up to your first judging appointment, you've been taught how to properly measure a course, so it's fine. That's a different, I'm not giving a judging course here. I'm just going through my experience, but that is super important. And then the matrix, you can measure your course, see the measurements in meters, and then find that on the table and the matrix, and you can just go across and find what the course time is recommended in, for the different heights and grades, and it literally tells you what it should be. And then obviously use a bit of common sense. If you've got, if it says 52, then 54, then 56, and yours is 55, just go in the middle of 54 and 56, just use your common sense for that. As long as it's about right, it's fine, but that is super helpful. Oh God, I'm yawning. Oh, so sorry. I swear I'm still knackered from Nottingham. I had 3 runs on the Saturday and then 6 runs on the Sunday. 6 runs. And it was so hot all weekend. And it really did knacker me out. It's Tuesday now. I've had a day to recover, but I've been busy doing stuff as well. So I think it's ruined me, but it was worth it. Anyway, I'm going off on another tangent. My third course was the agility, obviously, again, 1 to 3 or heights. And again, super happy with how this ran. When I put my courses up on the Agility Course Maps group on Facebook, someone actually tagged their friend and was like, this is the course we trained at the weekend or whatever. So they'd set it up to train it there, which is amazing. Feel famous. But anyway, now I was super happy with that. I can remember it right now, actually. Obviously, it's a little bit trickier to judge agility because you have to make sure you can see all the contacts. So my A-frame was first, then the seesaw, then the dog walk. But I made sure that they were sort of, you didn't have the A-frame right on one side of Dog Sports Derby, lengthwise, and then the dog walk all the way at the other end, because that's a lot of running for me. I kind of layered it so that if you're looking down on Dog Sports Derby, widthways, A-frame, seesaw, dog walk. So they're all kind of next to each other, widthways, not lengthways. So I don't have to go as far, basically. And also, obviously, you want to keep out the way of the handler. That is another huge thing. You don't want to be in the handler's way. And you know what they say, you can make a great course that you can run brilliantly and, all the lines are perfect. You can't get a better course. But then when you go to judge it, it's almost impossible to judge because you can't figure out a judging path. There's no room for you to judge from without getting in the way. You have to run a literal London Marathon to get to all the contacts. And remember, you have to be at the up contacts as well as the down contacts. So that is just something to take into consideration when you're designing courses. But no, super happy with my agility. Obviously, I looked at the A-frame and then I ran through the middle, looked at the seesaw. And then another good thing is when the dog's in the tunnel, I do a lot of movement if I need it as a judge because, you can't distract the dog or get in the way when it's in the tunnel. So that's really handy. When the dog's in the tunnel, use that to manoeuvre if you need to. And then when the dog was completing the weaves in the top right hand corner, I sort of walked gradually nearer, and then I was right there ready to judge the dog walk. So those are my 3 courses. Like I said, my first jumping, I was nervous for the first few dogs. One thing that I kept doing for that first course that I luckily snapped out of was when I gave 5, I would do that for everyone, even if it was a refusal. So I'd go to mark a refusal, but because they're all 5, in my head, 5, I just went like that. And then it's like, oh no, it's that. It's a closed fist. So I put an open fist up, even if it was a refusal. And then I think my scribe, he was lovely, bless him, but he, I ran to him afterwards and said that was a refusal, not just a normal 5. Because obviously if you get 3 normal 5s, it's not an E. But if you get 3 refusals, it's an E. So it's hugely important that you put the right hand signal up. But yeah, my scribe, obviously, he knew what I meant, because I went like that and then went like that. But then, I got into it and I didn't make that mistake for the other 2 courses. So that was just me getting into it for my first appointment, which is totally fair. And you can't be too hard on yourself on your, at your first appointment. You're going to make some mistakes. I think the biggest thing with judging is to be consistent across all dogs. So, don't mark, if you mark someone for something on one run and then let that go on the next one and don't mark it, that's unfair. You need to enforce the same rules for everyone. So as long as you're consistent, you don't make the rules, but it is you're the judge. So as they say, judge's decision is final. Just be consistent and stick as closely to the rules as you possibly can. So that is pretty much, those are the mistakes I did make in my first course, but then, I was completely fine afterwards. Another thing to look out for, obviously, is be very vigilant with the weaves. White dogs in the weaves against the white poles. You need to be quite close and, sort of vigilant about watching all of the weaves. And your concentration has to be so high. I'm going to yawn again. I'm so sorry. Ugh. Oh, comment below if you also yawned. I am blaming Nottingham, to be fair. I am pretty tired. And I got work in a few hours, so that's great. But yeah, weaves, you have to be super vigilant. And another thing that I forgot for a few dogs in the first course that my scribe reminded me of, luckily they got E'd anyway, so it didn't matter, but was the weird rule in the weaves where you can only get one normal 5 in the weaves. So you can get as many refusals until you're E'd in the entry, but even if after a correct entry, the dog comes out, say, the 10th weave, that's 5. If they then go back and do the weaves again and come out the 10th again, you don't mark any further. They can only get one lot of 5 in the weaves. That confused the hell out of me. So I did that wrong a few times on the first course, but then my scribe obviously reminded me, and I, lesson learned. I did know that before, but obviously when I'm watching, I see a mistake and I just automatically put my hand up. But no, only 5 in the weaves. Refusals for the entries are different though. You can do as many of those as it gets until the dog gets E'd. But another thing as well is using multiple hands. So instead, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see me, instead of going 5 and then 5 again, if the dog, say, does 2 5s consecutively, because if the scribe can be confused if that means 1 or 2, or if you just had an itch or something. So if you do 5 on the right hand and then 5 again on the left hand, the judge, it's noticeable because you swapped hands. But if you just go 5 with the right hand and then 5 up again with the right hand, it's easily missed if the judge blinks, for example. Or again, it can just look like he might take it as you're just marking the same 5. But yeah, Dog Sports Derby, I didn't need a lunch break. I was obviously offered a break at around lunchtime, but it was, I think I finished at 2. The whole day was done at 2. So I was like, well, I may as well just crack on, get through all of it and, have my lunch at 2 when I finish. So I did that. We just cracked on. Obviously, I got like a 5-minute break as Heights course walked. I think it was like 2 or 3 minutes actually, but I had my big water jug there, which was great, near where the scribe is. So I managed to stay nice and hydrated. I did get mini breaks. Obviously, your concentration has to be so high for judging. You can't start thinking about what you're having for tea or what you're doing when you get home or the next day or the next week or whatever. You have to concentrate fully. And obviously, it's the same course, so it does get quite repetitive, but you do have to have concentration levels skyrocketed for the whole day. Luckily for me, see, another thing I do recommend is doing more of not even a half day or a shorter day for your first judging appointment, so you're not getting there at 8 and leaving at 7 p.m. Because that is a very long day to judge, especially when you're not used to it. So I am super glad that my day was only 9, 10, 11, 12, 5 hours. So that was cool. I'd say the only uncomfortable thing about the day was, and again, I'll get used to this, but it was when I was changing my first jumping to my second jumping. And, you know, because when I was setting up my first jumping, people hadn't even arrived yet, so it was nice and chill. But the second jumping, people were there, ready, watching, and they were just at the fence, at the gate, just watching me set it up. And it took forever. Obviously, I'm inexperienced at setting courses up as it is, but it took forever to, like, make everything perfect. And I was worrying a little bit, you know, that not imposter syndrome, you know, that little gremlin voice in my head that's like, they're impatient, they're thinking, come on, hurry up, want to go home, want to get on with it, dog's getting bored, whatever, which isn't my problem, but still, you just got to ignore that little voice saying that and just concentrate on getting your courses the best they can be, because at the end of the day, you'll get more complaints, if any, if your courses aren't as you want them to be, or the lines aren't great or whatever because you've rushed, than if the people who are waiting to walk the course have to wait, 10, 15, even more minutes later to walk it, if that makes sense. But I didn't get any stick from anyone about any of my courses on the day or online afterwards, which I'm really grateful for, because no one likes that. So overall, it was just a great experience. Obviously, most shows will cover your travel cost, which is perfect, and give you a gift. So say money towards other show entries, you'll often get another day of that show for free. So obviously I could come back on the Tuesday and compete with Arrow for free, as that was my sort of thank you for judging kind of thing. So there are lots of perks as well that makes it more than worth your while, because it is kind of a job. Obviously time consuming making courses. Saying that, it did take me ages to make my courses for my first judging appointment, but at Nottingham on the Saturday, I think it was, I made 2 courses for my next judging appointment, which is the 26th of June at Dog Sports Derby. I'm doing a 4 to 5 jumping and a 6 to 7 jumping, which is so exciting. Because I obviously only ever judge 1 to 3. I have more judge appointments as well. I have Dog Sports Derby on the 26th and 27th of July, as well as the 26th of June. Got Derbyshire on the 30th of July. Have Kaluki, I think it's the 7th of September. And then LAE as well. That is the, 14th to 16th of July. I think I'm judging on the Sunday and competing on the Saturday. Because another little life update. Arrow made the final for LAE, the LAE Cup, because he won. One of his wins to 7 was a 6-7 agility on a Dan Hodson course, I think it was. A great course at LAE. Won that. Didn't even think anything about it being a cup class. Thought you had to be there the whole weekend, because obviously I only did 1 day to qualify. But it turns out just winning one of the classes qualifies you for the final. So I'll be running that on Saturday night and obviously competing Saturday day, and then coming back to judge on the Sunday. So yeah, those are the shows I've got booked in to judge. If you want to run any of my courses. But I really hope everyone did like my courses. Like I said, I worked really hard on them. Obviously had Neil's input, and that's huge. Having someone there to go over your courses and, feedback about them and help you and give you suggestions, it just gives you so much more confidence in your courses when you go to judge them, because you're like, well, this amazing judge has said they're brilliant, so that they must be. Do you know what I mean? And you're not questioning yourself then either. Obviously, you don't need your own ring party. You can get one if you want. Obviously, it might be nice to have your friends or family or whatever, people that you know on the ring party. But Dog Sports Derby, there was already a ring party there. Everyone was lovely. They were right there to help. They did exactly what I asked of them during course building and stuff like that. So that was amazing. But overall, it was a really nice, chill show. I would recommend Dog Sports Derby as a first judging appointment, and any judging appointment really. It was fantastic, and I was nervous, but I'm looking forward to doing it again now. And the early finish was great, finished at 2, and I went home, and I even had time to go to the gym and do a nice cheeky legs and glutes workout on that same day, so that was brilliant. But I think the most time consuming part is definitely the course building, but not course building, sorry. Well, yeah, but course designing before the show. But as long as you've got that down, then the day, usually runs smoothly. Don't be afraid to, make tweaks on your courses when you actually go to set them up on the floor. It's going to be a little bit different. Just obviously make sure that the lines are all still safe if you take out or add obstacles to your courses. And I think that's about it, That's pretty much the day. Like I said, it went very smoothly. I didn't take Arrow with me because my dad was at home to look after him. But if I did have to take him, then that would be fine. I could have, left him in the car and then obviously windows open, all that jazz, with water, and then gone back to take him for a wee or a walk in between classes. If I'd have had Arrow, I probably would have asked for a half an hour lunch break to take him for a walk or something. But obviously it was just me, so I didn't need that. But that wouldn't have been a problem. And then also, if you judge at a venue, sometimes they will let you, and you finish really early, sometimes they'll let you train in the venue in that ring afterwards for free. Some shows do, some shows don't. I don't know. That was just my experience, but there are a lot of perks to judging, and I would highly recommend it. There was something else that I was going to say, but I can't quite remember what it was. Another hugely important thing is making sure that you know where the timer should be. Obviously, that's not your duty exactly, but the ring party should know that and sort that for you. But obviously, the electronic timers that are used these days that go on the wings of the jump, a few times, I'd have to go up that, or Laura or whoever would go, oh, that timer's in the wrong place. You have to adjust them per height. Because obviously if you leave them on large when you're running small dogs, then they're not going to set the timer off. And then that's going to cause an issue and you're going to have a rerun. That did happen to me once actually. But I think it was an intermediate dog and there were two, or medium, and it was still on large or something, and the dog didn't clock the timer, so they had to rerun. So timers are a super important thing. And obviously, before you judge each individual dog, you want to remember to just have a quick scan of your ring. I gave my thumbs up to the scrimer before one run, and as in, yep, next I can go. But then someone, luckily, just beside me outside the ring, went, Judge, there's a pole, and there's a pole down that no one had come to pick up, and I hadn't thought about it. And that only happened once, and then that sort of taught me to go, just scan before the next dog comes in, so everything is as it should be. Sometimes, especially on the Gallican, dogs can sort of clip poles a little bit, and it might fall on one side. The magnetic things might fall a little bit or drop and be a bit uneven. So you want to, again, for fairness, you want to make sure the course is the same for absolutely every dog. And then I remember what I was going to say now. Tunnels and weaves and contacts. So, big advice, if you are designing 2 jumping courses, for example, well, say you're doing what I did, 2 jumping, 1 agility, try and keep the tunnels pretty much in the same place, just for ease and efficiency, for time. It saves time and effort. So try and design courses keeping the tunnels pretty much in the same place. I did have to move a few of my tunnels, but only slightly. I didn't drag them anywhere. I just slightly moved the angles or slightly dragged them maybe 5 meters in a different direction, but they stayed roughly in the same place. All 3 of the tunnels, I had 3 tunnels in each of my courses. That just makes it so much easier. And to be honest, it also makes designing courses on smarter agility a lot easier and quicker too. Because, if you try and keep equipment in roughly the same place, then it's just going to be so much easier for you, make the day go so much faster. You can spend more energy and more time on actually judging than moving equipment around and stuff, especially if you have quite a small ring party and it's hot and stuff. And then obviously agility, if you've got 2 agility courses, try and keep the contacts in the same place. That's even more important than tunnels really, because lifting contacts around is a pain, especially dog walk. It just takes so much time and energy. So try and keep contacts in the same place. But another thing that I learned, it was kind of a mistake, but it was a good learning opportunity for me. Laura pointed out that I kept my weave entries the same. So obviously I wanted to keep the weaves in the same place, obviously, so I didn't have to tape them down, take it up, tape them down again, move them, tape them down, stuff like that. So I kept the weaves in the same place, but 2 of my courses had the same weave entry. 1 had a different approach, but 2 had the exact same. So Laura reminded me very kindly, try and mix it up each time. So you can keep the equipment in the same place, but make it a different skill, make it a different direction. So for example, with contacts, if the first course is it starts with the A-frame, then the seesaw, then the dog walk, maybe do the next one where it's the dog walk, then the A-frame, then the seesaw. Dog walk, then the seesaw, then the A-frame, if that makes sense. Weave entries, could have a weave entry that's, even if it's from on the same side, have one that's a fast entry, one that's a sort of steadier entry where the dog decelerates first. And then, obviously you can bring the dog from the opposite direction. So the dog's on the left, and then on the other course have the dog on the right for the weaves and stuff like that. So you can do a lot, you just got to be creative. So you can do a lot where you keep all of the equipment pretty much in the same place, but you completely change the course. So you don't want to be that judge that has, 3 courses in a day and they're all basically the same course, because that's boring for handlers. So that is definitely something that I'm going to take even more consideration in the future. But that was pretty much my day. I think that was everything. But yeah, they looked after me really well. Shows really do value their judges, or good shows do anyway. And, you get offered lunch. I took my own anyway. But just make sure you're prepared. Basically, you've got your measuring wheel, and clothing as well. I was too hot, to be fair. It was quite cold in the morning. So I wore long sleeves, a long sleeve jumper and black leggings. Usually do black jeans and my Air Force. So I was nice and smart, nice and non-agility wear. But I was quite hot. I had to roll my sleeves up halfway through. So make sure next time I would take a change of clothes. So maybe a short sleeve version, or a smart vest, or something lighter weight, or anything like that. Or blue jeans, not black, so they didn't absorb all the heat. Science and all that. But I was comfortable. Obviously, you want smart footwear, but also footwear that you can walk around and move around nice and nimbly in. So Air Force, they're trainers, but they're smarter than like my Asics running trainers or Solomon's, if that makes sense. So that was good as well. And I think that's pretty much everything. Overall, it was a great day, and I'm really looking forward to doing it again. And in a really weird way, I actually find judging less stressful than competing, because you build your course and then you just stand and do the same thing over and over again for every dog. And I don't know, I just found it really nice and chill and fun. And to be honest, I did find it less stressful than having a dog there and competing, because obviously I don't even know. Don't even know why. But yeah, that's me basically just saying, go for it. It's a great experience. And I also hope that it will make make me a better handler almost. You know what I mean? Judging more dogs, seeing more dogs run different lines, take different approaches, watching different handling methods, all these things, I think that's why Neil is such a great judge, because he just experience, he has so much experience, and you watch so many dogs that you just become an expert at lines, and that is what I want to do, become a complete expert at lines. And always make sure that my courses are the best they can be. So thank you to everyone that wished me luck for my appointment and complimented me on my courses, and even those that gave me constructive criticism and feedback on my courses in that way. Always helpful. I do love constructive criticism. Talking of constructive criticism, it's time for me to plug all my social media links. So they're on the screen here on YouTube, and they'll be down below in the description on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I'm active on there pretty much every day on everything, or most things anyway. And obviously follow the podcast so you don't miss any more episodes. I do an episode every single Wednesday. Got some cool guests coming up. I know I keep saying that, but it's a busy time for agility people, but they are coming, don't you worry. God, I had a voice break, sorry about that. Keep sending me feedback about the podcast. Again, positive, negative, I welcome it all. Give me guest ideas, give me episode topic ideas, and I will definitely cover those. I'm thinking of maybe having some listeners join me on the podcast at some point. I thought that'd be quite fun, and I might introduce a question section as well. I'm also thinking of going live at some point on Instagram and recording that as a podcast episode. So let me know if you think that's a good idea. So it'll be like a Q&A, but another live Q&A, but what was the Q&A I did before? It was unprepared Q&A. So yeah, this live would also be an unprepared Q&A, but it would be a proper live video. So I'd literally read the questions and react right there. So let me know if you think that is a good idea. And I'm going to go now, because you can tell my words are just starting to fail me more and more. And also give the podcast a rating or review on Apple and Spotify. hopefully 5 stars, but you know, whatever you fancy, that would mean the world to me. And I will talk to you all next Wednesday, but make sure to follow all those social media links. I would really appreciate it. Okay, bye guys.